Was the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia legal? Have you ever wondered about the legality of military actions taken in the name of humanitarian efforts? The NATO bombing of Yugoslavia in 1999 is a prime example that raises many questions. This event happened during the Kosovo War, part of the larger Yugoslav wars, which were marked by ethnic conflicts and violence. NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, intervened with the aim of protecting ethnic Albanians from the actions of Yugoslav forces. They claimed the situation required urgent action to prevent further human rights abuses. However, the legality of this military intervention is still a topic of debate among scholars and legal experts. To understand this issue, we need to look at international law. The United Nations Charter outlines when it is acceptable to use military force. Generally, this is permitted in cases of self-defense or when the United Nations Security Council approves such actions. In the case of the NATO bombing, there was no explicit approval from the United Nations, which raises significant legal questions. Supporters of NATO's actions argue that the crisis in Kosovo posed a threat to regional stability. They suggest that customary international law may allow for humanitarian interventions, even without United Nations approval. However, this interpretation is controversial and not universally accepted. On the other hand, critics argue that NATO's bombing campaign was illegal. They point out that it did not meet the criteria established by the United Nations Charter. Concerns were also raised about civilian casualties and the targeting of non-military infrastructure, which conflict with international humanitarian law. From a Southeast European perspective, the NATO bombing is viewed as a critical event that changed the political landscape of the region. It highlighted the involvement of external powers in local conflicts and the challenges of balancing humanitarian needs with legal standards. Some people see the bombing as a necessary step to prevent further atrocities, while others question its legality and the precedent it set for future military interventions. The question of whether the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia was legal remains a contentious issue. Arguments exist on both sides, reflecting the complexities of international law and humanitarian intervention. This event continues to shape discussions about the role of international organizations in resolving conflicts and protecting human rights.